Hello everybody, this is Yankov Wong again. And today I'm going to talk about a piece of equipment which is right behind me now. A few months ago, a gentleman came up with an idea. Well, actually he claimed that he invented this piece of equipment, which is a softbox or a beauty dish. But there is something very different to this beauty dish, which is the interior is actually black. He called it the black dish. So, you know me, with a piece of equipment like this, I'll have to go and do some tests to it. In the past few months, there has been quite a number of people coming up to me saying that they want to know more about the idea about this product. And the inventor of this product came up with quite a number of videos on YouTube that you can go search them, and I don't want to repeat what he's saying. But the key point that he made was that this piece of equipment is actually going to give you, 1, softer light. 2, he's claiming that this product is actually better for shooting people with darker skin tones, particularly with let's say African black skin tones. This is going to help them a lot. So let's see if that actually works. So to begin with, let's do it the orthodoxical way. We are doing it in a studio. I'm going to do it pretty scientifically. We are going to test out the equipment, test out the modifier, and look at it, first of all, light shape, meaning the shape and the pattern of the modifier itself being the source of the light. Secondly, we will be looking at also the light pattern or the light image, which is the light being projected by this modifier onto the wall. As you can see now that we are comparing all the different aspects of all these few different modifiers. First of all, the silver dish with a black diffractor as a control, and then we have the silver dish with a silver deflector, and then we have the black dish with a silver deflector, and also the black dish with a black deflector. As you can see that, though we have a control, which is the silver dish with a black deflector, you are going to see that I'll have to increase or decrease the output of all these scenarios so that we have an even output. Now, if you look at them, first of all, you will notice that the silver dish with the silver deflector is giving you the highest power, and that's why we need to turn down the output of the light so that we have a similar output. But then if you look at the black dish with a black diffractor, we actually need to increase the power by 2.2 stops so that they look even. And then we also have the white beauty dish as a control so that you can compare that with all these different modifiers. Now let's look at the light pattern that the modifier is projecting onto the wall. As you can see that I'm placing all these modifiers on the same light stand. We are just changing the modifier, and then we shoot from the same angle and look at the light pattern it is producing on the wall. Bear in mind also the output of the light is changing from 7.4 to 9.5 and 10, but also bear in mind that because the black dish is eating up a lot of its power, that we need to change the ISO from 100 to 200, hence you are seeing 9.5 plus 1 and 10 plus 1, showing you that the ISO changed. Now, as the final part of the demonstration in studio, I'm also shooting using different modifiers, the silver dish with silver diffractor and also a black dish with a black diffractor, and shining them onto our model can. As you can see, the result is here. Now, I understand that how everybody is being really skeptical about this product. Me, same. I do think that there are questions that I asked when I'm seeing this product. Why do we need yet another modifier? And is it black? Now, first of all, when the interior of a modifier is in black, we know that what it is doing, first of all, it is eating up a lot of the energy. Now, I don't know you, but in a lot of cases, we are trying to utilize most of the energy being produced by your lamp head. And having a lot of those energy being absorbed by the modifier might not be a very good idea. But according to the inventor, he is claiming that it is going to produce a softer light. From what we are seeing from the experiment that we did in the studio, I don't think that it is actually producing a softer light. Now, when we talk about softer light, we need to define that. There are a lot of different definitions out there that people are seeing. In my book, when we are saying that the light is softer, we look at one very important criteria, which is the gradation from the lightest part to the darkest part being the shadow, If we look at the gradation of the shadow, if the change is more rapid, faster, the distance is shorter, we call it a harder light. When the gradation is longer, the change is slower, we call it a softer light. From what we are seeing through the experiment, I personally don't think that technically the black dish is producing anything technically softer. But when we look at the demonstration by the inventor himself, he is doing quite some demonstrations with diffusers on. Now that is making it a lot different from what we're seeing. Now, most of the demonstration, the experiment that we did just now was without the diffuser. Without the diffusion, the black dish with black deflector is functioning very differently to the silver dish with a silver deflector. Now, the black dish with a black deflector is blocking a lot of the light and also cutting a lot of the light which is shining to the side of the dish and bouncing back onto the subject, but not meaning that it is not hitting the subject. As you can see, if you look at the light shape of the black dish with black deflector, as you can see, the center part is totally black, But then light is hitting on the black surface of the dish and then reflect back onto the subject. Now, though the interior of the black dish is black, it doesn't mean that light is not reflecting, just that a lot of the energy is being eaten up by the black interior. But still, there are lights pumping out from it. As the light shape is technically almost the same. Now, you look at the photo, the light shape is a little bit different from each other. But then, as the size, the physical size is almost the same, though there is one key element that you need to be aware of, which is the center part of the silver dish is a lot brighter than the black dish, meaning that the center part is playing a more important role in terms of creating the final light. So that's why the silver dish is a little bit harsher than the black dish in that sense. But at the same time, because with the deflector, a lot of the light are actually going outside without hitting the subject directly, but hitting the wall surrounding the subject and bouncing back onto the subject. And that's why it is creating an illusion that the light is actually a lot softer. Now, if we try to also cut what is being out there, you are going to run into two major problems. First of all, you need a lot more energy to make the black dish work. From what you are seeing, it looks like the energy difference is around 4 stops, but that is basing on that the surrounding is in white. Now my studio is white cychrome with white ceiling and white wall on the side. So light is bouncing back from the wall back onto the subject, and that's why it is working. But if we are outdoor without things bouncing those light back, and if we are in a black environment, light is not bouncing back, the black dish will actually fail if you don't got a light source which is strong enough. Well, let's say you have a 250 watt second light, okay? If you pump it up by one stop, that is 500, another stop 1,000, another stop 2,000, another stop 4,000. I don't have any light which could pump out 4,000 watt seconds. No, I don't have any light like that in my studio. Of course, you can pump up your ISO, but then what's the point? So, first of all, if you are using a black dish, be aware that you will need a lot more energy. Now, secondly, like what I said, the demonstration that the inventor did was, most of the demonstration was with a diffuser. Meaning what? Meaning that a lot of the light which was originally shining to the side instead of hitting the subject is now being catched by the diffuser and dissolved and come back onto the subject. If you compare the photo that we took with diffusion on, you will see that the two photos look very similar to each other, while the only difference is the output of the light. We know that, yes, there are minor difference between the one with the silver dish with diffuser and the black dish with diffuser. But at the end, because the black dish is eating up so much of the energy, I don't see the point of using the black dish at all. Since one of the intention of the invention of the black dish is for using it on people with darker skins. So to make it fair, I'm going to do a test using the black dish with a black model. Let's see what would happen. We are very lucky to have my friend Honor coming into our studio and do this test with us. The first shot with the black dish onto Honor. Look at this photo, you will discover something very interesting. First of all, the background is very bright. Like what I said, the deflector is blocking most of the light, and then a lot of the light are hitting sideways. So that's why the background, the cyclorama, is totally white. And then if you are looking at the knee of Honor, you will see that there is another patch of light which is leaking from the black dish hitting his knee. But then if you look at his face, because the light, the key light, the main light is being blocked by the deflector, most of the light that you are seeing on Honor's face is actually being reflected from the walls around him. If we compare that to the photo that we are taking with the silver dish, you will see that there is a huge difference. The photo being taken with the silver dish looks exactly like what we would do with a beauty dish, okay, or silver dish. You are going to see some hot spot on his face, and if that is what the inventor is claiming, that the black dish is going to eliminate the hot spots on the darker skins, yes, it is doing the job. But at the same time, it is going to create some other problems, which is we are having some light hitting on things that we don't want it to be hitting. Now, if we put the diffuser on these two modifiers, you will see that the two photos are looking actually very similar to each other. The only difference is the power output. The output that you need to use on the black dish is actually 1.5 stop more that you need to provide to the black dish to make it work exactly the same as the silver dish. And here, as for your reference, I'm also taking photo with a similar setting but with a different modifier with a soft light reflector, the beauty dish, the white beauty dish, and also a shallow M umbrella. Now, if we are talking about how the black dish could produce a softer light, to be honest with you, my verdict to that is it is not going to work. When we talk about softer light, in my book, that means a larger light source, okay? That's the only criteria. Now, if we consider that the black dish having the major key light blocked and letting most of this light hitting the surrounding and bounce back, now that makes a bigger light source, actually a very big light source. If you let there be enough white walls and let the light bounce back. But that has technically nothing to do with the black dish. Now, to add on to the comparison, I'm giving you here another photo. We are using the white beauty dish, and then we're using a piece of cardboard to block the light from the beauty dish and let the light which is hitting the surrounding bounce back and hitting our subject Honor. If you compare this photo to the one with the black dish without diffuser, they are looking very similar to each other. And for that, it means that you don't need the black dish. All you need is another beauty dish that you have already, and use another piece of black cardboard to block the key light, and you will get a very similar result. To make the game even fairer to the inventor of the black dish, he is claiming that this product is made for location shooters, that he wants us to use it on location. So to make it fairer, let's bring it out onto location and see how it works on location. We are now outdoor with Honor, and we are shooting different portraits of him at the same location. I'm testing out with the black dish, the silver dish, and also we are putting on the diffusion and off with the diffusion. Now, I'm trying also to knock down the sunlight a little bit, overpower the light a little bit. We need to bring up the power of the flash. Then we run into problems. When we are using the black dish, we actually cannot overpower the sun at all because most of the light are being absorbed by the black dish or blocked by the black deflector. We don't have enough power to overpower the sun. And remind you, I'm using a 500 watt second location light. And yes, I know that I could probably bring out a 1000 watt second or 2000 watt second light onto location, but that is defeating the original idea. And remind you, just like what we did in the studio, we can actually use a black cardboard to block the light and reach a similar result. But as we are on location, we don't have those white walls to bounce those light back, meaning that the black dish on location, technically for me, is pointless. If we are talking about how the black dish is going to create a softer light, to be honest with you, I think that's a failure. Like what I said, if you want a softer light, the only thing that you need to do is to use a larger light source. But then we are running into another problem, which is the reflection that we are seeing on darker skins. Now, that is actually a very interesting discussion that I want to move into. Even if you are shooting people with lighter skin tones like myself, there are actually reflections. Just that because our skin tone is lighter, that is making it more obvious to our eyes, and we have forgotten about those reflections. If you look at portraits of most people, you are going to see some reflection, just that they are not as clear, not as prominent. But when we are shooting photo of people with darker skins, we are going to have problems. During the shoot, I sat down with Honor, our model, and talked about these photos. And he did mention something very interesting. He was saying that he actually liked the photo which was shot with the black dish, with black deflector. Now, reason being that for him, in that photo, he is seeing much clearer facial features of himself. The reason for that is a lot of the light are hitting the surrounding. We are actually having a larger light source, and then we are not seeing as prominent highlight as the other photos. And I do agree with him. But that actually has nothing to do with the black dish. The only thing is that the deflector is blocking most of the light hitting him, and the key light which is hitting Honor is actually the surrounding instead of just that particular light source. That is making the reflection on his skin not as clear. When I look at that photo, when I look at that process, that reminds me an incident happened a few years ago when there was a photographer who was claiming that blocking the light source is making the gauze, the reflective surfaces, not being as reflective, while the light hitting the surrounding, coming back, hitting the subsurface, and so that we are seeing what's underneath more clearly. Now, in the process of learning about photography and lighting, I spend a lot of time understanding the physics and how light is working. Without understanding these basic theories in behind, we are going to be fooled by a lot of these, no matter method or modifiers or equipment. So, if you're planning to spend some more money to buy yet another piece of equipment to help you with your photography, I would suggest you to spend this money and follow a good teacher and take some good lessons and learn about lighting and photography. In that way, you will get better pictures.